Hello and welcome to the Beardworks podcast, our debut pilot, first episode, whatever you want to call it. This is it. This is where it all begins. Just two bearded mates having a chat about their passions, whether it be video games, TV shows, movies, comic books, whatever we like to talk about it. I'm one half of your host. My name's Nathan, and the second half, my bearded friend, Nick. How you going, mate?
Yo, what's going on? Yeah, I'm good. Bit nervous. Let's get this going.
Yeah, 100%. It's a big step for us. We've been in the plans now for a little while, and we finally, today's the day. We've actually got streamers shooting up behind us and all that kind of stuff all ready to rumble. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, anyways, where should we get off to? We're going to triple down on the video game aspect today, and our first one off the cab off the ranks is Minecraft Dungeons, which was released on the 26th of May this year.
So, Minecraft Dungeons. We both started playing it. We're only a couple missions in. Like, what are your brief, first impressions of the game?
Yeah, I feel like it got to a really good start. First off, I think that when you take the Minecraft name and put it to anything, it's going to be successful. And to take it to a dungeon crawler, I mean, that's a crazy good idea. I think that it's got huge potential now. Yeah,
look, I think it's good. It's bare bones at the start. We obviously haven't finished it, and we're not in the end game yet. But we like Diablo, like Titan Quest, all those other bigger dungeon crawler games. But I just hope the loot starts getting a bit more interesting because it's pretty stock standard at the moment. Not really getting anything that crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty basic game at the start, but I do feel like I have seen some other videos from YouTubers and also some articles from whether it be Kotaku or any of the gamer Facebook pages discussing what they wanted from the game and what they know that's at the end of the game. And I know there is a adventure mode at the end that you can play once you defeated the main story, and there's also an apocalypse mode, so there's obviously end game content there. Depending on how deep it goes, I know there's procedurally generated dungeons, and also the armor sets do kind of play a role in it, and so there's something to do in the game. But yeah, I guess once we get through it, we'll probably have our final thoughts then. But so far, so good. I mean, you've played with a friend. How'd you find playing co-op?
Yeah, I don't know about procedurally generated dungeons. I hope it's like that, so it's got so much replay value. But I've definitely done the second mission twice. I did it solo, and it was fine. And then I did it co-op with Pap, and yeah, it was definitely different the second time. But I don't know, because we were playing on a harder difficulty co-op. I don't know if that affects the way the levels are, but it was definitely different. So that's a positive.
Yeah, I know that when I first played it, I ran through the first few missions so quickly, the enemies was no challenge whatsoever. But then when you can sort of choose what mission you want to do next, I sort of realized that the difficulty was upped a little bit. I died a couple of times, and that was against these mini bosses, these skeletons that were riding horses. 4 of them appeared, and I found that they were quite challenging. Each one of them had a boss mini health bar, so that was a cool challenge. Like I said, that was the first time I died. I probably died 2 or 3 times, I reckon. But eventually, I defeated them. But definitely a cool challenge in that aspect. Whether what happens next, I don't know. Obviously, there are going to be mini boss battles. So, what would you like to see? What kind of co experience are you expecting from it?
Yeah, I want to go down the road of Destiny with end game raids. We all gear up, do those massively brutally hard missions. But you're doing all this stuff, the hard missions. You want the high level reward. That's why I feel because I'm 3-4 missions in now, and I haven't got anything that I even care about, which I think, I don't know, it's missing the mark slightly, but it's good, but it's just not there yet.
Maybe it's just the early game content, obviously it'll probably get better as the game goes on. It's only early days, but obviously it has huge potential when it can draw from other dungeon crawlers that pre-exist and have been successful already. Being Minecraft, it's going to be successful no matter what. I feel there's going to be everybody will play it. It's free on Game Pass. It's a small subscription to pay, which we already pay for the other games that you get with it. So why wouldn't you play it? It's only a small download. Has huge potential, and future content they can release. If they release free DLC, I mean, it's a win-win technically. Pretty much if you take what they've taken, if they can take something from Destiny with those kind of end game content raids and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it will get to that point. It doesn't seem like it's that kind of in-depth game, but if it does, hopefully it just kicks off. Hopefully it's a really good experience.
Yeah, well, for a game we didn't technically pay for, I'm happy I'm playing it, because it was a surprise, because we were all so hyped on it when we saw that original trailer, because we were right into Minecraft when the original trailer for Dungeons dropped. But then we all forgot about it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like it's a nice little surprise to get that when everything at the moment is sort of like either being halted or pushed back, or everything's getting towards the end of the game life at the moment with the current consoles getting ready for the next gen. There wasn't too much, much bright stuff coming in the next few months other than on the PlayStation with a few exclusives that are coming up.
Yeah, I feel like games are in a weird spot at the moment. It's like we're on the cusp. We're on the edge of the plane. We're about to jump out. We're about to parachute, but there's just nothing right now. We're in that calm before the storm. But so I'm glad we got Dungeons to tie us over until those larger titles.
Yeah, definitely a surprise packet for me. Pretty impressed with it so far. Obviously, more to come. When we both finish it, the story, and we might go on to the harder difficulties, we can probably comment on it a bit more and have a bit more of an in-depth talk about it. But yeah, one of the surprises of 2020, you could say at the moment.
Yeah, one of the nicest surprises is not the world shitting itself. So
True.
yeah. Speaking of bigger titles releasing, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes. Now, I mean,
yeah, here we go.
Releasing next month on the 17th of July. I mean, It has to be going gold by now. The game has to be ready to be put out because, it's literally just over a month. So I guess when we break it all down, there was a state of play, a gameplay trailer released by PlayStation on the 15th of May of this year, showing little snippets, not much, but just little bits and pieces to get people excited and on board with the game. What were your first thoughts on it? And I mean, let's just tear it right down straight away and think, if you were to put a name to this game, what does it remind you of?
Oh, the state of play. Do you mean that 18 minutes of Assassin's Creed Japan gameplay? That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. It did. It was very, very similar to an Assassin's Creed game. But yeah, I mean, if you were to take a few positives out of that, what would you take from that state of play kind of gameplay?
I like the way that they were switching up the gameplay. You can like go in swords, bared, just brutal samurai fights, or you can stealth your way in. I know that in Assassin's Creed, even the newer ones, you can have a bit more of a character build and play how you want. But this game seems like those two playstyles are very separate from each other. So you like a bit more replay value. You can do a samurai run through, or you can do like a ghost shinobi run through, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think that it has the core basics of it. The combat is something we've all seen before, something we're used to. So I think when it comes down to the very core values of the game, it's going to be pretty similar to what we've already played. I mean, I'm not sure about the whole waypoint thing where you set something in the wind or the leaves direct you where to go. I mean, I feel like that could have been done differently, but if they want to try and immerse you in the game, then I guess that's probably the way to go about it. But
yeah, I don't know how I feel about the no waypoints in the game and like animals guide you, or you look where the wind's going and it points you in the right direction. Like, I don't know, I'm a bit more of an old school gamer. I like to have a waypoint or a clear path.
Yeah,
but yeah, it could be interesting. Hopefully, it's a pleasant surprise. Actually, the way it's implemented, don't know how it's going to work out.
I don't know. I mean, I've watched the whole gameplay now a few times, and the few things that I took out of it was that I liked the idea of the cinema mode and the camera mode where you can edit your stuff and sort of like post on your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you like, and how you can add all the effects to it. Some games have that to a certain extent, but this looks like they're really driving that forward to say, hey, our game is beautiful. Please, share this content. In saying that, it is an end of era console kind of game. Like The Last of Us was on the PlayStation 3 towards the end of the cycle of the life of the console. That's the PS4 now is the Ghost game, and obviously The Last of Us Part 2 that comes out next month as well. But it looks like it could be a next gen game. Like it should be a next gen game, and it probably will eventually be rolled out onto the PS5. I'm not sure if it'll be straight away because they want to try and still keep people playing the PlayStation 4 for the people that can't afford the PlayStation 5. But Ghosts, it feels like if they really just driven it home on the next console with maxed out, with the power behind the PlayStation 5, they could have really turned into something really beautiful. Now, obviously, early days, only seen the state of play. So when we actually get it in our physical hands to play the game and see how well it runs and how smooth it is and how beautiful it is in game, that's left to be desired at the moment. But it definitely feels they could have done that instead. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And did you see any bits and what do you think about the story? Do you reckon it's going to be a very driving and like riveting story?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the story. I don't know. I've watched a lot of like samurai movies, read a lot of comics, and it just seems so, from what I've seen, generic at the moment. Obviously, there could be some surprises, but I don't know. They're not bringing anything new to the table. It just seems, I don't know. It just seems a bit basic right now. But we've only gotten hints and little snippets so far. It could be the best game we've ever played. We don't know, but
Yeah.
usually I'm a bit more hyped for a game than I am right now.
I completely agree with you there. I watched the gameplay and I was just like, it's very bleak and bland, something that we've seen before. That's fine. But the one thing that can capture your attention when playing these single player games is that story and that, the compellingness of wanting to play the next mission to see what happens, to see what characters are like come in and evolve into bigger, parts of the story. That's what I'd like to see. Whether it happens or not, we won't know. But you think that it being a single player game, that it would have to have that kind of, latch onto that story. But like I said, next month we have a little bit of time now, so we can still talk about it and see where it's going to be at. But we won't really truly know until we play that game. But first off, impressions, the state of play, I wasn't too impressed.
Another thing that I really enjoyed out of that state of play, though, we've been talking about the negatives, but the positives. The customization looks really good. Like collecting all the flowers and the berries to dye your armor, create new armor sets, different looks for different areas. I think that's going to be a very interesting thing to incorporate into your playthrough.
Yeah, I think with those type of games, it's very similar to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where there's heaps of different armor sets you can have, and look however you like. Obviously, there'll be stats bound to those gears, to that gear that you'll be wearing. But yeah, I mean, pleasantly, I don't know. Currently, I'm not sure. The jury's still out on that one. I guess I'm waiting to see what happens. But there has been games that have been pretty average, and at the start, you see some bits and pieces, and they come really good. But history has shown one of those has been Watch Dogs. Crazy good trailer, looks so beautiful, pretty. The world's really immersive, and the game comes out and it's bleak and bland. It's just, you just don't know those days.
I don't even think I finished Watch Dogs. That's how good it was. I reckon I played about the same as much as I played Anthem with you.
Yes, another game. You think that from BioWare could have been a home run. You think with that kind of backing, with their storytelling and through the Mass Effect games, especially 1 through to 3, like great story, just building that kind of world that you just want to explore, and then they show you this beautiful trailer at E3 and you're thinking, wow, people are calling this the Destiny killer. And we're like, okay, let's see what this thing can do. And the game comes out, and this is after they've had people like beta test it, and they're like, oh, this has got huge potential and all that kind of stuff. And they're only allowed to play so much of the missions, but so far they're like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And the game comes out and it feels like, okay, here's the game. The DLC is coming later with all the awesome stuff is coming later. So, I mean, how many hours did we play of that game?
Oh, 1 hour? No, we probably got a little bit into it. We upgraded our suits a bit. We did a few of the missions.
We did one of the raids.
Yeah. Well, that's how good the game is. I didn't remember we did a raid. A raid should be something you prepare for. It didn't even feel like anything. Yeah.
And they did talk about having those live events, like similar to Fortnite and stuff like that. And Destiny's recent attempt at it, which we missed, unfortunately. More to come in another episode. But yeah, that was it. Like, they talked about this. They brought this massive event that was going to have this cataclysm, and I think it just had mini bosses spawning around the map that were just tall tight, like they're just like giant Titan things that you'll find. Like, that was kind of cool, but it didn't have anything after that. Like, and for a game that got built up so much and through a company like BioWare to be fall so flat is just so crazy. And to think that now they're not even really, they've got like 1/3 of the workforce working on it to try and bring it back. Like, is that ever going to come back, do you reckon?
I got no idea. I remember watching that E3 trailer with you, and me and you looked at each other, and we were going to smash every other game we had because we were like, okay, this is the sickest shit we've ever seen. This is it. And then it just didn't ever happen. But I got hopes for Anthem. I don't think it's ever going to be better, but I hope it is.
Well, you think that where it's at in the moment, that they'd release free content and just like go against all the grain that they sort of set up for the game and just make it a ridiculously like over the top shooter with like mech suits and giant, like obviously the raids are already in there. There's like, I think there was 3 raids, maybe 2, I can't remember, but just have more, just want more. Like it reminds me of what companies do these days when they release a game, you know, and they don't give you the whole thing. They give you bits and pieces and expect microtransactions later. So
Yeah. Another incomplete game we played recently in the same aesthetic as Ghosts. Turning this full circle. Neo 2. How bad was that?
yeah, that obviously we had seen the trailer and they sort of like promoted that there was going to be like co-op that we could play together. And I mean, I'll let you tell this story, like how our first encounter with Neo 2 went.
Yeah, so we both played the first Neo, loved it. We were like, okay, this is really awesome. We like the way you can build up your character, different stances with your weapons. You can chain combos together, really cool. And then they advertised Neo 2 that's going to have co-op, go through the story and experience it with a partner. We loaded into the game and we got the complete opposite. Spawn into the first mission. Run to the first checkpoint. Get the shrine. For people that don't know Neo, you go to the mission, you fight through the village, whatever, you get to a shrine. You do your upgrades, spend your coin, and that's your save point. You can turn the game off, come back, you go to that shrine. When you co-op multiplayer that game, there's no saving. We got up to the first shrine, and then we were like, okay, we've had enough for now. Turn off, and we come back to it. Our save was gone. There is no save function in multiplayer. It is the most poorly implemented multiplayer I think I've ever experienced, and it ruined the game for me. I never played it again. I know you've progressed with it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment, I have to admit. Like, I thought if we could just have at least one shrine, like if I could go to the developers right now and say, hey guys, one update I'd like you to do. Now, saying this, I haven't really checked recently if there has been an update for it, but I don't think there has. I would say, hey guys, can you put one shrine in each mission that is like at the halfway point, so you can save it, and if you can't go through the whole mission at once, because it is a bit of a kick in the guts when you fight it all your way through and you make a mistake at the final boss and you both get wiped out. Now, if people don't know the Neo 2 kind of co-op gameplay, is that you can both play the story and it will progress for your character for both people in the party. But if one of you goes down inside this co-op mission, there's like a little timer, like a little bar. It's like a blue bar, and for every second they're down, it starts chunking away, like eating away at the bar. If you don't res them, if you res them, the bar will stay where it is. You can continue to battle, but as soon as one of you goes down, it drops really quickly. And if that bar goes down to 0, you fail the mission. So one of us could still be fighting, and the player 2 goes down, and you can't get to him because you're sort of stuck between a boss and your co-op partner. And if that bar goes to 0, you fail, and you might not, and you're still alive. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does create the game more hardcore. I can understand that's what they're going for and stuff like that. But if you want to enjoy it, it is quite tough. In saying that, people will probably come out and say you're not meant to enjoy these games. It's meant to be a grinding, struggle. But if you want to play with your mates and they do, promote it to say, oh yeah, no worries, there is co-op. I feel like if just one shrine halfway through a bloody mission would make it 10 times funner. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know people say that these games are meant to punish you and be super difficult. Me and you, we love the From Software games. We played all the most brutal shit. But Neo, it's not the difficulty that deterred me. It was the fact that you're never going to be able to learn the level or even better yourself because you can't save. There's no leveling up in multiplayer. You're literally a bare bones runt the entire time. It's just poorly implemented. If they just copied and pasted the shrine and save aspect from single player to multiplayer, it'd be the perfect game. We'd still be playing it. But you don't always get that in multiplayer.
No. I mean, the only thing is we can hope to the gaming gods that they release an update and we can go back to it one day and run through it together, even though my character is like halfway through the game and I've enjoyed it so far. I haven't touched it for a few weeks though, so I probably don't want to boot that up because I'll probably get destroyed by the first small enemy. But in saying that, it is a game that has really cool customization, really cool battle. The stance kind of change up and the weapons, like it has everything in it to be that great game. And single player, people will probably say it's one of the toughest games, but it's so much fun and you enjoyed it. Well, that's well and good. But I personally do miss the co-op experience, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, one day when they release Bloodborne 2, that there's some kind of
don't say Bloodborne and 2 in the same sentence. I have a seizure. If that ever happens, that's all I'm playing. That's it.
100%. Bloodborne that's our top tier game. Like, we love that so much.
I reckon it's one of the best games I ever played. The punishing, like, brutalness of it. But when you finally beat that person, like Bloodstarved Beast, you know the grind.
Yeah. The Bloodstarved Beast is one of my mortal enemies that I feel like I struggled for a long time against. And I tell the story all the time because it's such a heartwarming, heartfelt story to triumph. And, you know, I spent ages trying to beat that thing in the church. It was just like, it just destroyed me every time. And like, I knew I'm not the best at these kind of games. So I knew, okay, let's take a break from it. Let's take a step back. And I walked out of that church and I went for a bit of a waltz around the other side of the maps. And I found some other enemies I could defeat. I actually found some other bosses I could defeat as well. Leveled my character up high enough that I went back to that church. It must have been like probably a week later after maybe like 15 hours of gameplay. And I walked right in there, sort of flicked my collar a little bit and thought, all right, let's do this. And laid waste to that beast within like probably about a couple of minutes. Like, not even that. Like, barely got a hit on me. And if it did, it was just like minuscule damage. I felt so good. I was on top of the world when I defeated that beast. I was like nearly in tears because, not saying it was the toughest beast in the game to defeat, but at the time it was my Mount Everest, and I just had to climb it and had to beat it, and I did. It felt so good. One of the best feelings, and I will remember that to the day I die, because it's just, people say video games are just like, you know, a bit of fun here and there, but sometimes when you literally grind your ass away to beat a certain boss or a certain level, the feeling of satisfaction it's unparalleled.
Yeah, I had a similar thing. I never struggled too much in the Bloodborne bosses, but my Bloodstarved Beast was Ishin in the ending of Sekiro. I'd played the last boss for 15 hours, and I was doing the easy ending.
Yeah, no, I can't say I got that far because Sekiro sort of put me off in the first few hours, and I haven't really picked it up again. And saying that, I want to get back and finish those games because I feel like it's definitely a challenge worth completing. So
I feel like that formula has just been perfected by From Software. Like Miyazaki, I don't know, he's a wizard. He's got a flair that no other game has.
I think if it comes down to it, like, it's really cool. Like, there's another game we could talk about. It's Code Vein. Like, that's a very anime-inspired kind of Soulsborne kind of game, and we haven't touched that at all, not one bit, because the co-op in that is still similar. That you don't actually have the progress together; it's only separate. And we want to play those kind of games together, for one, because we like the co-op experience. In saying that, I like the look of Code Vein. Anime stuff always, like, I think is so cool. But these other games where they have these like spiritual powers, like, it's just a cool thing to happen. Like, it's just really cool. Like, you can't really get away from it. Like, it's all flashy and kind of stuff. And like, especially the counters, when you hit a proper counter and you knock the enemy back, you're like, I'm on top of the world here. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to unleash hell on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those experiences are always unreal in those super hard games when you finally do something and best an enemy, like actually best someone, not just spam your way through, like actually defeating him in combat. I want to do those experiences co-op. And Neo 2 just missed the mark. Yeah. Completely missed the mark.
But yeah, talking about multiplayer, I mean, the biggest game going around at the moment, Call of Duty, and it's Warzone game mode, Battle Royale. I mean,
I think we should, save Warzone topic for its own podcast.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest ones at the moment going around.
Well, we lost a friend to Warzone. We used to know a guy called James, and now all he does is play Warzone.
Professional Warzone player, you could say.
Yeah, part-time at life now.
Yeah, just part-time tradie and full-time gamer. I mean, no, definitely Call of Duty has taken off this year. The Modern Warfare remastered, I guess you could say. Well, not remastered, but the relaunch of the original. It's not even the original game. It's got some of the original characters in it, but different story, different. It's obviously modern times, just like what they called it back then, and they've taken on the traits of every other game at the moment. Whereas having a battle royale is the stock standard, which shows that games obviously everyone takes on board. They go where the moneymakers are, and today's day and age, it's a battle royale, and your skins that you get with it. Unfortunately,
Yeah, it's one thing I've never really bought into. I bought a couple of the Fortnite seasons back in the day, but the COD seasons, the skins just don't do anything for me. They're just like a Ghost, the original Ghost skin. That's cool. I know you've got that, but I just don't see myself putting 30 bones into the game to look different.
Yeah, and I think when it comes down to it, it is quite disappointing to see that the game mode's free. All right, they give it out for free, and they got to. I know that to keep money getting pumped into these kind of companies, they need little microtransactions. Let's not try to deny that they're everywhere these days, but they could be more micro than what they are. Some of the skins, the packs you buy, they're 2,400 COD points, which I think that's like $29 in Australian dollars anyway. For a skin, you might get a weapon, a new finisher, stuff like that. It's small stuff. Like at best, these kind of things, they should be like at most like $7 or $8. It's like
Exactly.
It's just a skin for your character, and yeah, the guns come out with different like attachments and all that kind of stuff. That's fine, all well and good. But most of the time, you don't need those blueprints, is what they call them in game. You don't need them, because you have your own guns that you have set to exactly how you like to play, your play style. So why release? I mean, not saying they don't have to do it, but they could just make it a lot cheaper by releasing just a skin, a finisher, and calling card or something like that. Just make it $4 or $5. It's a lot cheaper than $29. I mean, and I know people buy skins they buy nearly every single skin that comes out in the game. So
it's a lot of money, adds up. But the only thing I think a Fortnite did better than Warzone, there's prestige that comes with certain Fortnite skins. Like in Warzone, if someone's got a fancy skin, I don't think I've ever even noticed, because you're fighting at such ranges, or you're fighting at such close ranges, it's so chaotic, you're never taking notice. But in Fortnite, you see a John Wick coming at you, you just get off, you just quit, because you're dead. There's not the threat and prestige of certain skins in Warzone that I feel like Fortnite captured so perfectly.
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes down to the fruit and the labors of the game, a skin doesn't make you any better.
No.
You may look cool from a distance, or all that kind of stuff, but like you do say, like you barely ever take like one of the biggest problems with Warzone at the moment is people just camping in buildings. You want to be an aggressive player, you start moving through buildings real quick, bang, you get popped from the side, and there's a guy camped in the corner, or a whole team if you're playing squads or trios, just chilling just around the side of the building or something like that. Because obviously Warzone is a very popular game and it's cross-platform. So better yet, you're playing against guys that want to camp the crap out of the game, and then you're versing PC players as well. So where do you come in? Like with our mate James has been smashing this game, and he's good at it. Drops like 10 to 20 kills a game, gets plenty of wins. But like we don't have that. I mean, obviously I'm not sure if his teammates just better than us as well, but we don't get as many wins. We don't play as much as him, but we're not too bad at battle royale games. We've played plenty of those kind of games before.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be a change implemented to Warzone. We're a couple months in now, and it's already getting pretty stale. Obviously, people are still getting crazy wins and stuff, but the map needs to change, the meta needs to change, because everyone's just running overkill at the moment. Sniper, machine gun, that's it.
Yeah. The game has the dropping skins like crazy. Season 4 is just around the corner now. See what happens with that. But the game modes, first off, you got solos. I think solos is fun and all fun and games and stuff like that. That's fine. But there was a mode they dropped, must have been a few weeks ago now. It was called like Solo Stimulus. And so like you could buy yourself back in if you had the money available. So it's $4,500 to buy either your teammate back or yourself, or you can't obviously buy yourself back. But that game mode, if you had that money in reserve, there was no gulag, which the gulag is where you go obviously to people who haven't played it before, which what have you been doing, living under a rock or something. But if you win the gulag, you get to deploy, and that only happens once per life. So obviously it doesn't count if you die. Spawn yourself back in and come back. So obviously you have to win the battle in the gulag, then you get deployed back into the map, go find your teammates, re-kit yourself. If you were to die again, you just stay dead and spectate your teammates. The stimulus one takes the gulag straight out of the equation. You just buy yourself back in if you've got the money left over, and you come flying back in. Obviously, that's only to a certain point because every time you die, I think, and you bring yourself back, you have less and less money to actually be able to obviously buy yourself back to respawn yourself. But that was really cool. I know I watched Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest streamers in the world, play it, and he loves it because you got people spawning in constantly because they just bind themselves back in. So you can drop 30 kill games in a solos, no worries, or even more because people just keep respawning. Whereas, they've taken that away now. Now it's just solos. And that's all well and good. But there's no real incentive to go out and smash out because if you get knocked down, it's impossible to res yourself nearly. If you're in a one-on-one battle, you're never going to be able to res yourself because as soon as they down you, they're going to finish you off. If you lose the gulag, you're out of that too. Then you got to start a new game. Stimulus was a fast pace, get yourself back in. If you can challenge those, 50-50 battles you didn't think you're going to win, you go for it because you know that you're going to spawn back in. Whereas now, you got people camping everywhere in solos and other game modes. Sorry.
It's just the meta. The way that submachine guns and snipers work, the way that they're so good to kill people that fast, it's just promoting campers. Like, people will sit in a room with a sub or sit on top of a building with a sniper and that's it, they win. I need to change it up. I want them to force the aggressive gameplay a bit more. And because at the moment I feel like it's just they want everyone to sit back.
I feel like the people that do push are either PC gamers or, obviously if you're confident in your own squad that you can take on teams, even if you're going to get jumped yourself. It is very sit in a campy kind of spot and finish people off. I do get frustrated, obviously, playing that game. We all do. Everyone rages on that game. And from launch to where it is now, it has made some improvements, fixed up some games, buffs, debuffs, whatever you want to call it. RPGs are still powerful. They're still killing people. One of the guns that used to scare the crap out of me would be the snake shot pistols, or the magnums, whatever you want to call them. You'd pop open a door, you see these two glowing lights looking at you, and before you know it, you're on the ground. So I'm glad that they're gone. But yeah, we still play it. We still enjoy it. But overall, it's going to have to change something up because at least Blackout on the previous Call of Duty game, on Blackout you had they implemented new things. They moved stuff around. Not saying it was a perfect game to be honest, but they at least made changes to the map.
Yeah, that's the thing I think Warzone really is suffering from, is just how static the map is right now. It hasn't changed. It's been out for a couple months now. There needs to be a little bit of evolution. They need to make an effort, change something up, blow something up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Flood an area, make the dam explode. That would be cool.
Yeah, just change it up a little bit. Even defrosting the snow on the side of the mountains, just change it up a little bit.
Because who knows what that is hiding? But
yeah, and even when they brought in the bunkers, now people just camp outside bunkers waiting for people to go in there, and you just get, as soon as you walk outside with all the loot, you just get wasted by a squad.
Well, I haven't researched into it too much, but there's talks of nukes or something going off.
Well, I think they're trying to imply that eventually a nuke's going to go off and destroy the map, and then they'll release new maps, sort of like what they've done with Fortnite when they ended the map in season 1.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see that. I'd be happy to see that.
Yeah, I think the core mechanics of Warzone are good. I feel like the gunplay feels alright. Obviously, there's some guns OPs. Rocket launchers, I feel like you still hold too much ammo. I think there's 7 rockets you can hold with 1 in the chamber.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I reckon they should put that down to at least 3, minimum of 3. I should say maximum. They should have maximum of 3, because you can get down with a rocket and then they just spam rockets when you're trying to res your teammates. Which if you get caught in that situation, that's your own fault. But still, it could have been different. Could be better, I should say.
I am happy now that trophy systems are dropping more frequently. It's like they're trying to listen to our complaints about explosives in Warzone, because I feel like all of us, our friend group, we've all complained about the explosives, rockets, C4s, everything. So I'm glad the trophy systems are a bit more common than they were on release, but still, I think there needs to be a bigger. I don't know how to word it, but yeah.
All I know is that when it comes to bigger, they definitely need to not release bigger updates. Just drop them down a bit. Otherwise, everyone's going to need a second hard drive to bloody play Warzone. My
friend this week reformatted his new PC, because he just wanted to clean it out, everything, just make it fresh. He wanted to reinstall Warzone and COD. It was 195 gig.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just for the yeah, it just baffles me to think how big these updates are. Like, and they're taking stuff out too. So I mean, I don't. Yeah, it baffles me to think how much data and how much space you're going to need to bloody play this game. But I guess if everyone is playing the game, then they're not really. The only complaints they're getting are just changes to the game, not so much the updates. Can't do much about it, really.
Yeah, well, lucky we've all got good internet connections.
Yeah, I'm not saying Australia has the best internet, but we're definitely
not
on the same level as America, but or any other places of the world. But at least we can download the game and play it. If we start the download a day before we want to play it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like every 2 weeks there's like 30 gig that needs to be done. It's just because I love Battle Royale. I love Warzone. I've been playing COD since bloody COD 4, but this COD's definitely the biggest and the most prep you need to actually play it.
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, current state of the game is it's in okay spot. I feel like I said, small bits and pieces need to be fixed with some weapons. I think overall the map definitely needs something new aesthetic, something just a bit more not so bleak, I guess is what the word
is. It's winter in the Warzone map at the moment. Even a change of season would be good.
Yeah, definitely. And like, can they not be so greedy with their skins? Like, come on, just drop them for a little bit cheaper. Jesus, like $5 or $6 max. You know,
mate, they're going to milk this bloody cow as long as it's spitting.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy how much the microtransactions cost these days. It's like some bigger things we can tackle later on in one of our other shows. You know, FIFA have been doing it for years now. Madden, NBA, like all the 2K games. Like these games have. When I can't remember the last time a game just released and just said, "Here's the game. Here's everything for the game. Enjoy it." Other than obviously single player games. Single player DLC comes out, that's a bit different. But if you have if a company or a game developer has the whole game sitting in front of them and go, "This is everything we have right now," and goes, "This is what we want to release," and then the higher ups go, "Well, hang on a minute, like you got this stuff at end game content. Why don't we cut that bit off the end of it and let's put it into some DLC and let's make like $20-$30 a pop off of each one of those things." And then they turn around and go, "Well, hang on a minute. That's part of the full story. That's not fair to take that away from the experience." And they're saying, "Well, we've given you guys this money to develop this game, so you're going to listen to us." Cut the end off. They can play that little bit of the story, have that the arc from the start to the end, and then this little cool stuff that you made at the end that makes the game even better. We're going to make them pay for that. Like, what is it? Just baffles me, man.
That's why God of War and Sekiro, I feel, were almost perfect, because you got the game and you had it. You just play it. That's it. Perfect.
Yeah. But anyways, we've got plenty of times. We've got plenty more episodes hopefully ahead of us. We're going to be pushing this thing on. We're going to make new episodes every week at this stage. So
every episode we could do in the future it'll be different. There's going to be movies, video games, series. We both read a lot of books and comics, so we're going to get a touch on that. We talked about our friends that play Destiny and Warzone. We're going to hopefully try to get them in, get their feedback, people that play these specific franchises a bit more than us. But yeah, lots more coming in the future, lots.
Yeah, so please, follow us on our SoundCloud, whatever we decide to upload it on. We'll have other multimedia things to do later on, but today is our first episode, our grand opening, you could say. And obviously, it may be all the stuff we talk about. It will continue on. It will go further on down the track, like Nick said. We'll be talking about different things, different genres, all that kind of stuff. So please don't ridicule us if our first episode wasn't that flash, but we are going to be improving throughout the time. So just give us the time of day, have a listen and enjoy it. So anyways, that's thank you from me. And Nick.
Peace out. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.